Okay, so let's do the pre-close combat morale checks first. Now, these units here will actually have supported line, so -10 on their morale check. These guys will not. They even have a flanked unit, so they will have some positive modifiers there. That is, it will be harder for them to pass. In that case, I think it will be an outflanked. Outflank will give them +10 actually. And there are some leaders. Of course, there's also woods. So these ones, here's a disorder though, so that's +5. Otherwise, like these ones have both supported line and are in a wood, so they get -15. Okay, so this is what it looks like after the pre-close combat morale checks. They all passed their morale checks. So that is it's pretty good for the English. So now we must designate exactly what unit will attack what. And in this case it's actually pretty easy. Most of them can only attack one stack. So here I think all of these will attack here. So, or maybe actually these two will attack that one and then these two at this one. Oh no, they have to attack this way because this one, I want that one to attack here. This one attack here. Now over here there, that's the only really tricky situation because of course I can have this one attack these two and then this one only that one, or I can have this one attack these two and then that one only this stack here. They have 6 strength points. These guys also have 6. It's actually 1-1. Yeah, I think I will do it so that they will attack the Swedish guns alone, and this guy will attack both of these. And now we do defender morale checks and individual close combats separately first for each combat. And I don't really think it matters that much which one we take first. So, because in the when you roll the, well, actually the pre-close combat morale check, actually, yeah, it does matter, because if if one is successful, let's say if this one successfully breaks this one, then this morale check will now be outflanked. So and since this is probably the trickiest attack, I probably want to do all the attacks basically from this direction. So the first round of combat here ended in just morale checks. They passed the pre-close combat morale check, but the defensive fire didn't do anything. So now we do the morale checks, and it's the attacker that rolls first. Now in this case, when you do the G close combat morale check, you actually do not add the supported line for some reason, and you don't add any outflanking or anything. So in the heat of the battle, I guess they don't care. The only thing that you add is leader bonuses, and if they would be disordered or be shaken or have taken 50% or more losses. So in this case, they're just gonna roll straight on their effectiveness rating. So the English one first, 36, that's should be enough. They have 23. And now the French, 82, they also pass, so it's another round of close combat. I roll first. And this time it doesn't look good for the English. Yep, they took 2 losses and routed away, and the French are disordered. Next close combat here. these two will attack this stack that is shaken. I don't think I will use these leaders. It's too risky, especially with Cumberland. So and here also some of these units, like for example, I don't know if this one, no, but this one is one of Claire's, from Claire's brigade. These are the Irish. They actually get +1 in combat value when they're fighting with English troops. Now this poor guy is both shaken and outflanked, so he has, I think, +20. And it's a 50, so they might pass anyways. So 28, +10 for being outflanked, +10 for being shaken. That's 58, but -5 for the woods. That's still, they break. Okay, so Cumberland's stack here managed to rout, just barely, in several rounds, managed to rout these Irish troops. So now I guess the question is, do I advance with just one unit or both? They had got a disorder result, so because they were already disordered, they became shaken disordered. I think it might actually advance the whole stack, because this -10 on the effectiveness rating might turn out to be quite useful if the French manage to arrange some kind of counter-attack, and also for rallying these units in the upcoming rally phase. So it might be a bit of a gamble, but I think it might be better actually. So onwards with this close combat here. 1 lost for the French, 2 lost for the French so far, and 1 for the Allies. So now we have these close combats along the line here. And again, now because of this advancing stack, these units actually, they don't get the supported line, and they get an outflank bonus of +10 on their morale check. So here now we got a special result, all the 0 and the 5. So if you look at the 5 special result, we see that the attacker loses 3 and the defender loses 2. So we apply that first, and then we take morale checks, and now it's not the attacker that automatically checks first. You check and see which stack has the highest morale. In this case, these units have 22, but they are disordered, so I think that's a +5 for this type of morale check. It's a normal GM close combat morale check. Yep, they are disordered, so they were up to 27 for their morale, and this infantry has 24, so the English has to check first this time, and they fail. So now the Irish unit does not have to check. So they will take now 1 additional step loss, so up to 4 step losses for this combat, and then rout. And if you wonder why they are disordered, it's because of the defensive fire that caused the disorder check result. So we got the shaken Irish unit routed away, took 1 loss, and 1 loss and disorder here, and I moved in with the entire stack. I think maybe leaving troops here could be nice to opportunity fire if these guys move out, but on the other hand, if the Allies do get a chance to activate the cavalry there, they will create a bigger hole here to actually do some work here. So, but that's maybe a long shot, but the stack is quite small now after the losses. They took a lot of losses during the defensive fire, but they managed to stay both in order and not shaken, so they definitely won the close combat. So we got a M result, but the French did not pass. So this unit has to route now. It took one loss and has to route. It cannot go here because we have an enemy unit here, so it really has to move back like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they pass through these two, and if they don't pass their effective their morale check, they get shaken, disordered. And of course, one of the cavalry units here failed, so they are now shaken, disordered. So interestingly here now, when I advanced after combat, actually they don't have a unit in their flank anymore, an enemy unit in the flank. So actually, I guess I should have done this close combat before this one, but that happens. Another close combat one here, but they got disordered on the defensive fire. But they still managed to win, but they got disordered, so they got shaken, disordered instead. This guy routed away and caused a pass-through morale check here, which this Grassin unit did not pass, so they are now shaken, disordered as well. Okay, so now we come to the last two close combats, one of which will be one stack attacking multiple stacks here, but start with this one first. And now the defenders actually are in a supported line here. So it's another French gun eliminated because they got a rout result, and the unit routed away here. The English got quite heavy losses, but there's only 2 strength points left, and they are disordered. Yeah, so these units got shredded by the artillery over here and all this defensive fire, so they're down to 2 strength points, and they also got disordered. So 1 strength point in the close combat versus I think it's 12 here. So they're definitely not in good shape for this close combat, but they could get a special result, and they do. 0-1. Okay, let's see what that is. So 0-1 is actually two for each. 2 for each. Now, unfortunately for this English unit, 2 is all it has left. So they are eliminated. So what happens is that when you take losses, the defender takes the first point, then the attacker takes the first point, then the defender, then the attacker again. And at that point, this unit is eliminated. So they take 2, and the defenders only take 1, actually. So this was quite a successful assault for the English. They only lost 3 out of all of these close combats. The field is now looking quite open for the English here, except over here maybe. But definitely on this side here, there's a French unit here that's still in good shape, and there are some good shape units here and shaken French units here, but otherwise it's quite open, and just some routed French over here. So this is what it looks like now before we go into the next activation.